David teaches us in the text this morning and encourages, because of our relationship with God, we can understand who keeps us. Verse number 1, David understands his relationship, and the relationship he has is because he's merciful. He says, God is merciful. And verse number 2, he says, my relationship is valued because God listens to me. And verse number 3 said, God leads him. There was some things when you're in a relationship with somebody, you ought to understand some things about them. Come on, somebody. Married couples, if you're in a relationship, there ought to be some things that you understand about your mate, whether you like it or you don't. But I believe there's a lot of good qualities in the person that you have a relationship with. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got hooked up with them. But because of that relationship, David understood that there was no better person to have a relationship with than God. He says right there in the text, he says, you know what, because I have a relationship, I can cry out to him. David made this thing personal. He said, verse 1, I cried aloud to the Lord. I lifted up my voice for mercy. I poured out my complaint. And because some theologians said David was even complaining a little bit when he cried out to God. And every now and then we find ourselves complaining because of the situation that we're currently in. Why God? Why me? Come on, somebody. I come to Bible study. I'm praying every day. I'm witnessing. But yet I find myself in a cave. I find myself in a place where I cannot get out all by myself. David helps us because in our lives and current situations today, no matter where you're at, no matter where you stand, understand that God keeps you. The fact is, I like it because David helps us all throughout the Psalms. David not only helps us in Psalm 142, but I understand, I just believe that David has helped you and I through many situations before. Because of our relationship, I'm sure when you got in a tight spot and didn't know what else to do, you might have said to yourself that the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? I like David because he gave it a shepherd analogy. He knew his relationship was when he said, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He goes on to say in Psalm 34, because David understood, he valued his relationship. He knew who was keeping him through good times and bad times. When David had a testimony, he said, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him. David understood who was keeping him because of a relationship that he had with God. And if you have a relationship with God that's solid and functional and live, you know who keeps you. Not only did David know who kept him because of his relationship, he also understood because he was a refuge. That God was his refuge in the time of trouble. If you would look at verses 4 through 6 with me, if you would please. I like this because David said, verse 3, when my spirit grew faint within me, it is you who watched over me in the path where I walk. People who have hidden a snare for me. Look and see, there is no one at my right hand. No one is concerned for me. I have no refuge. No one cares for me. Have you said that before? I cried to the Lord. I say, you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. The word refuge means shelter, protection in the time of trouble. Keeps somebody from dangers and distress. It provides a place of protection. David understood that in the midst of a cave, in the midst of a dangerous situation, because I don't know what lurks in a cave, but I imagine there's some dangers in a cave. There's probably some snakes and some spiders and, come on somebody. There's certain elements inside of a cave that might not be fit for human because last time I checked, there's no electricity in the cave. And you can't see who's coming at you. You can't see who's behind you. You can't even see who's in front of you because it's pitch black, it's dark, and sometimes life makes it seem that way. But understand that God can be your refuge. He is your refuge. He keeps you from dangers seen and unseen. And when you get in trouble, He's a shelter in a time of a storm. But it's because He keeps you because of your relationship, and understand that He keeps you safe. And when dangers are around, when your enemy is on the attack, just like David had an enemy who was on the attack, Satan is trying to attack you and me. Each and every day, his job is to attack you. His job is to throw you off track. His job is to allow you to lose focus and lose sight of the cross. But understand this morning that who keeps you because He is your refuge. David understood this when he penned this song, even when he said, I have no refuge. And every now and then as a believer, sometimes it feels like you're all by yourself. It feels like you're out out there all by yourself and there's no shelter over your head. But I like it because David encourages this morning. Let us know that we're not all by ourselves. David in the text even goes back to Psalm 46. David helps us understand. When you might have said this when you were in trouble, David said, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in time of trouble. Have you ever been in trouble before? I mean, really been in trouble. I'm talking about when nobody else could help you but God. The attorney couldn't help you. The bill collector couldn't help you. The only one that could keep you is God. The fact is, when you get down and out and know that you're not keeping yourself and you're not pulling your own self up by your own bootstraps. Every now and then you might think you're keeping yourself, but you're not. But I'm not. When you get in financial difficulties and now you've gotten out of the financial difficulty, God has blessed you. Know that you didn't get out by yourself. It was Him that got you out of that financial blessing. It was Him that got you out of a bad relationship. It was Him that opened up a door that made a way out of no way. It was Him who's taking care of you. It was Him that keeps that roof over your head and keeps a job so you can pay your bill. It's Him that keeps food in the refrigerator because it's all about Him. David understood that God was his refuge. God was his protector in the time of trouble. Okay, David. Psalm 124 says David knew some things. David was able to give a testimony when he said, if it had not been for the Lord. David was always given credit where credit is due. He said, if it had not been for the Lord who was on my side. I like that because it goes back to the relationship. When you have that relationship, He will be your refuge and strength. David went on to say in Psalm 27, and I like this because every now and then the enemy needs to know some things. The enemy needs to understand whose child you are, because Psalm 27 said, when the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. I like that because my enemies, when things come my way, I know that God will make them my footstool. And I can use it to be elevated. I can't use it to fall back. I can use that enemy's attack just to press forward. Okay, maybe you don't like Psalm 124. Maybe you don't understand Psalm 46 and 1. Maybe yours is Psalm 23 when you understand refuge and help in the time of trouble. It says, yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no, because of a relationship that I have with God. David said, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So David helps us understand that we're not keeping ourselves. It's because of our relationship that we have. It's not about you and I, it's about a relationship that we have with God. And also we can understand when it gets tough and we get down and out, we can understand that He's our refuge in the time of trouble. Has He been your refuge before? Come on, somebody, don't fool me now. Is He your refuge even right now in the midst of a time of storm? He's your refuge. He keeps you. Lastly, He keeps us because He redeemed us. Look at the text. Look at the text. He keeps us because we're His. He says, verse number 7. He says, set me free from my prison, that I might praise your name. Then the righteous will gather about me because of your goodness to me. David said he's set him free. David was captive every now and then. David would want to get set free. He understands what God is able to do. That God, since He redeemed us through His Son Jesus Christ, the fact is we are set free. The fact is we have to understand that we're His child. And He's not going to let anything happen to us that's His. Come on, somebody. Do I got some parents in the building? If somebody's messing with your child, what do? You step to the plate whether they're right or whether they're wrong. You're going to protect your child no matter what's going on. You're going to protect them on the school ground, in the schools, in the neighborhood, because that's your child. God is giving you steward over that child. So therefore, you're not going to let anything happen to them. It's the same thing in our relationship, because we have been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, because our Father has said, look, these are my children. I'm not going to let anything happen to them. He'll free you from addictions. He'll free you from your enemies. He'll free you from yourself. He'll free you from the snares that the enemy has set for you. And I don't know about you this morning, because he keeps us because we're his own. That's encouraging to even myself to know that I can't even keep myself. I can't even protect myself. You can't protect yourself. You can't provide for yourself. I cannot provide. It's because I am a child of God. And because we have been redeemed, we have been bought with a price. David, the text says, it was never about David. Look at verse number 7. It was when David said, when you set me free, when you break these chains mentally and physically for me, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to praise your name. David said, I'm going to praise your name, because it's never about David. It was all about God. David said, I'm going to praise your name. When you set me free, while I'm in chains, while I'm not in chains, I'm still going to give you praise. And so I like that, because I understand who keeps me because of my relationship. I understand because he's my refuge and strength. And because I can praise his name because he has redeemed me. And I don't know about you, but that's exciting to know this morning that when whatever you're going through, that God is keeping you. God is keeping you. President Obama's not keeping you. Your mayor's not keeping you. Your house is not keeping you. Your boss is not keeping you. Your doctor's not keeping you. God is keeping you. That's all the text is saying this morning. It's like Quincy. You know, when nowadays Quincy's starting to walk. Quincy's walking now, and when Quincy takes some steps, he gets up by his own. But he'll take a step, then he'll fall. He'll get back up again, and he'll take some steps, and he might stumble, but yet he falls. He'll do the same thing again. Quincy will get up, Quincy will stand, take some step, tumbles, and then sometimes he claps. And that right there puzzles me. I'm like, dude, you just fell on the ground. How are you excited about falling on the ground? And then so he'll get back up. I love it about him. His mom and dad loves it about him. And when Quincy, he's determined there's something he wants to do, and that's walk. Quincy wants to walk all by himself. So Quincy, what he does, Brother Walker, he'll stand up. He'll take some steps, some more steps. Then he stumbles. But sometimes he don't fall all the way to the ground. Then he starts clapping, and then I'm realizing why he's clapping, because as Quincy's going through life and he's trying to achieve something, he understands at 11 months that he is not keeping himself. It's mom and dad. When he gets ready to fall, mom and dad's right there, has his hand, lifts him back up, and then when he claps, he's clapping because he's excited, because somebody's helping him that he didn't even know was right there. Come on, somebody, you're going to get this in a minute.